Welcome back everyone to another build showcase. Today is going to be a good one. We are going to be doing a Titan Stasis build using the Icefall Mantle exotic gloves. Now let's jump straight into it. Starting off here, like I said, it is a Stasis build, so we're going to be using the Behemoth Titan subclass with Glacial Quake as our super ability. Our Barricade doesn't matter as much because using Icefall Mantle, it changes what our class ability is, so you won't actually be using a barricade at all. Our jump, strafe lift, you can use whatever jump you're comfortable with. Shiver strike, obviously there's not another choice, but then for the grenade, we're using Dusk Field grenade. You can use either one of these, it doesn't really matter. I just like the Dusk Field. Now, moving on to our aspects, we are using Howl of the Storm. What this does, while sliding, activate your charged melee to launch a wave of stasis energy forward that freezes combatants, slows enemy players, and creates stasis crystals. This is going to be huge because we're going to be creating a ton of stasis crystals and getting a ton of stasis shards. Now, this also grants you an additional melee charge, which allows us to perpetuate that ability over and over and over again. To our second aspect, we're going to be using Tectonic Harvest. Now with Tectonic Harvest, what this does, shattering a stasis crystal or frozen target creates stasis shards. These stasis shards grant us melee energy. So combining these two, we're creating a bunch of stasis crystals as well as freezing combatants, and then we're bursting those and getting a bunch of stasis shards, which gives us a bunch of melee energy, allowing us to just continuously have our melee up at all times. Now, while this is active, additionally, stasis shards grant frost armor, making us a ton more tanky. Now, if you're enjoying this video, make sure you leave a like down below and leave a comment of a build you want me to showcase here on the channel. Additionally, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That way you never miss one of these showcases. Moving on to our fragments, we're using the Whisper of Fissures. And what this does is it increases the damage and size of burst of stasis crystals when you destroy them or break a frozen target, thus increasing the amount of damage we're outputting using our Howl of the Storm and Tectonic Harvest. Whisper of Rime, increase the amount of frost armor stacks we have, as well as increasing the duration, just allowing us to have that tanky frost armor on at all times. Whisper of Shards, shattering a stasis crystal temporarily boosts your grenade recharge rate. Shattering additional stasis crystals increase the duration of this, giving us uptime on our grenade, allowing us to freeze more targets and get more out of it. And last but not least, a Whisper of Conduction. Nearby stasis shards track to your position. It also increases your health and your super. Now, this is important because of the amount of stasis crystals we're going to be making. It's going to allow us to get all those stasis shards really easily, giving us all the benefits of the stasis shards. Now, moving on from the subclass, we're going to go right into our armor and mods. Now, starting off, this is a melee focused build, so we do have 100 melee. Now, I also have 100 grenade, and I have the points for it, so I might as well, you know. Our super as well, we're going to be using our super a lot. We're going to be getting a ton of super energy, so you want to make sure you have that set up. Now, on our helmet, and I'm actually going to change these mods around a little bit. We do have a melee mod. Go ahead and keep that on. What I am going to be changing is I'm going to be changing this because we're not using our weapons very much. I'm instead going to put on the hands-on because we're going to be using melee kills a lot. And that will give us more super energy, which is going to be very nice. Now, our harmonic siphon, we're going to leave on just because there's not really anything else that we need off of this. Now, moving on to our Icefall Mantles. Now, I do have a melee font on here. I also have a heavy-handed. If it's possible, I may want to change this to another melee font, just so that when we do have an armor charge up, we're actually going to be peaking out at 200. So I think I'm going to do that just to see how that works out. And now the Icefall Mantle is our exotic for this build. The reason it's our our exotic is as followed. While you have a stasis super equipped, rapid stasis final blows grant frost armor. You heal a small amount whenever you gain frost armor, replaces your class ability with a burst of stasis that freezes nearby combatants, slows nearby opponents, and grants you increased frost armor. So basically, whenever you use your class ability, you're going to be gaining full stacks of frost armor, as well as creating an AOE freeze that freezes all nearby combatants. Then you can burst them, get more stasis crystals, and gives you just insane amounts of uptime on your frost armor, as well as ability regen. And so that's what makes this exotic item so strong. Moving on to our chest, we do have melee mod, and then I have 2 concussive dampeners on because we're doing so much AOE and going to be in the middle of a bunch of combatants. I found this helpful. You can, but obviously change these out for whatever resistance you need, just to increase your resistance there. I believe the activity we're doing is a solar heavy one, so I'm going to do a solar resistance mod in my last spot. And moving on to our legs, now I'm actually going to change this to stasis. I kept forgetting to change that. But I do have a grenade mod on just to make sure we get over that 100 mark. Not necessary. You could just put a melee mod on here and just have 95 grenade or whatever grenade it ends up being. Doesn't really matter. But I do have a grenade on for this one. And then I have innervation. Because we're getting so much melee energy back from our stasis shards, I have a innervation on just to increase our grenade cooldown a tiny bit. You can use an invigoration or something else if you need it. If you need class ability uptime, you could use insulation, whatever. And then 2 stasis weapon surges, just because I am using a stasis primary. And last but not least, our Titan Mark, again a melee mod. I did switch this to have +5 grenade, -5 health, a perk of having a tier 5 mark. Not necessary. Doesn't really do anything, just again that kicked us up over that. You could just do slightly increases the lowest 3 stats on this armor at no cost. Doesn't matter. Reaper. Shortly after using your class ability, spawn an orb of power. And then after using your class ability, it reduces your melee cooldown for outreach, and then bomber, which same thing, but for grenade. Now I actually might switch Reaper for time dilation, because, and I might switch bomber for powerful attraction. We're going to do that. We're going to give that a try, because so Reaper only works if I'm using weapons a ton. Primarily with this build, we're not going to be using weapons. So I don't really need Reaper. Time dilation will give us more uptime on our melee fonts, which could in turn just be better, as well as our stasis weapon surges. And then powerful attraction will just pull orbs of power to us, which is never a bad thing. So let's give that a shot. Moving on to our weapons here. I do have the lionfish as my primary. For this, I also tried out the Augur Scepter. The only issue I have with this is if you trigger the effect of the Augur Scepter and reload, it'll drain your super energy, which I don't really want, because I want to be able to use my super, since the stasis super on Titan is pretty dang strong. But you could use any stasis primary in this, and it would be totally fine. Now, on this, I do have the reconstruction and chill clip. Chill clip is essential for this because of that detonation that slows nearby targets. You can also freeze nearby targets with it. Another good option if you can't get a chill clip to drop, go ahead and make sure you have reservoir burst. And then rhyme stealer is always good if you can't get recon, something along those lines. For our secondary, it doesn't really matter what we use. I have a pulse rifle because I was dealing with barrier champions for a while, so I put on a pulse rifle. You can use whatever you want. You can use submachine gun sniper, whatever's comfortable for you. And last but not least, I do have a linear fusion rifle. Again, it doesn't really matter. I tried using Salvation's grip with this build. I liked it. However, it wasn't really necessary. You know, it just kind of like, it made more stasis crystals, which is good. But other than that, it wasn't like make or break on the build. So we can go ahead and give this a try, just see how that works out. And now, to showcase this build, we are going to be doing a solo op, as per usual. We are going to kick it down to Grandmaster, just because I tried doing this earlier, and unfortunately, I'm just barely not strong enough to do minus 50 tier content with this build. And so we are doing a minus 40 tier content instead. So still very difficult. These are all the modifiers I'm running, and let's jump straight into this. All right, jumping straight into this. Now this does kind of stink because we need to get precision weapon kills. Of course, you know, we run these and we're never allowed. How is that not precision? All right. So unfortunately, okay. We're gonna spend the first part of this just getting that sorted because it's a pain in the butt. We've got 5. All right. And you can see there just how strong that melee combo is. So, ideally, we would get ability weapon kills here, and we wouldn't have to do this annoying part, but we do. However, once we have these last couple kills, we need what, 3 more? We can really kind of get into it. 1 more. There it is. All right. Now let's get into this. Look at that beauty. And you see here just how actually easy this build is to operate. It does not require a lot to get this build up and running and to smack with it. So we're gonna go jump right into here. We're gonna hit this, freeze this guy. We're gonna go. All right. Can't see these enemies, however, that does not matter, because we can still wreck them. We'll call this. Should cause more to spawn. There they are. Look at that. Look at that just gorgeous ease of execution. We just froze like what, 10 plus enemies and burst them all in one fusion rifle shot. Like, what other build is doing that? Look at this. It's so easy. We're minus 40 right now. So, as many of you know, because it's a solo op, we've finished the objective. Fighting things doesn't really matter anymore, so we're just gonna sprint straight to the bosses, get ourselves there, and then take them out. And you'll see how strong this is at taking out bosses too, because as you could have seen, we've had our ult almost this entire time. So like, we're just gonna literally run up to the bosses and just ult them, and it'll be done. Or super, I guess. Oh, okay. Well, that happened. We're just gonna not talk about that. We didn't have our frost armor up, so that's okay. Oh my goodness. These guys stand in the weirdest spots, I gotta say. Always throws me for a loop. Look at that. Oh. And you see, we're worried for a second. But look at that. We always have our melee up as long as we're breaking these crystals. Except when they both decide to team up on me like this. And that's just rude of them. Oh, that's right. I have this. I can always create crystals. I completely forgot I was running this. I'm used to running the other now. That I forgot I had this. Generates ult energy so much. We already had our ult twice in this fight. And there we go. Look at that. We're minus 40 down. We finished with 3 minutes to spare. And the only time we died was when we didn't have our frost armor up because we were trying to skip over stuff. Other than that, we were like pretty much never in threat. And we got a tier 5, which is, I'm going to say, pretty happy. So, this build is awesome. Make sure you give it a try. There will be a dim link in the description so you can just copy it right over. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, make sure you leave a like and subscription so you never miss another build showcase. And we'll see you in the next one. Peace.